But here's my advice, and this is what's most important. And I will put my email address in the chat so that way you have access to that. You can Google me and find all my contact information. But here's the advice. The advice is, I think now more than ever, athletes are more empowered than they've ever been before. And you know how a lot of times people get in that debate about LeBron versus Jordan and all that. Listen, I grew up watching basketball in the 90s. For me, it's no debate. But anyway, what I think they've done is I think LeBron has done a phenomenal job of highlighting how athletes are empowered. We always have this conversation that this is your business. So think of it as you're building your brand as your business, right? So it's so easy as an athlete to say, I just want to focus on my sport. I just want to focus on my sport. But guess what? If you've listened throughout all the other different panels today, there's been this common theme of preparing yourself for life outside of your sport, preparing your identity, preparing job prospects, relationships, networks, etc. So my advice is focus on if it's name, image, and likeness, focus on how can you start building a knowledge base to empower yourself. So understand trends, understand digital marketing and media and how that works. How does money flow in things like that? Start to see who in your life or in your circle, either through relationships you already have or through things like this, where you're meeting panelists and hearing speakers, where you can start to build those relationships to ask those questions. So when somebody puts something in front of you to sign, you know to say, I appreciate you putting that in front of me, but I'm going to take this back to my team or to other people to help me review and understand. To me, that is the empowerment. It's not just that, oh my gosh, I'm so excited because I have a deal. No, it's that I'm excited because I have options. I'm excited because I know I can promote myself in different ways. So best advice I can have is educate yourself through understanding the marketplace, understanding what teammates, others who have gone before you are doing, and start to do that research and building relationships with people who can help advise you through that process.
I really think that it's going to first help all of us look at what's happened and maybe how it's gotten a little bit out of control. What I really mean is before you look at student athlete compensation, you just look at what just happened with March Madness not occurring and how much the budgets of each schools depended on the $1 billion that March Madness brings in. And you take a step back from that and you realize how many eyeballs are on sports, whether it's social media, traditional media, in the stadium or arena, and the power of those eyeballs and how it's led to head coaches making 8-9 figure guaranteed salaries and other leaders in sports making inflated salaries. And I think that we've gotten to such a point with that it's hard to even talk about amateurism because the powers that be, I think it's just spawned out of control. And I think that's how we've gotten to the place where now states are getting involved saying, this isn't fair, something's got to be done. So I think first to decide if this is going to destroy amateurism, you almost have to define what is amateurism. And once you do that, and there's a lot of different ways you could define it. I think the Olympics have evolved what amateurism is over the years, right? There's ways to protect the institution, so to speak, and what makes it great. But there's also ways to let capitalism and free markets provide opportunities. And I think there's always going to be a healthy tension between the both. And you don't want this to be such a free market that student athletes now don't have a scholarship. And yeah, you can make as much money as you want, but you got to pay for your scholarship because we're now saying that, the compensation that was, which is the scholarship, is gone. And the compensation that is now make as much money as you can. You still want there to be a balance, right? So there's got to be a better definition of what amateurism is, and then what name, image, and likeness and the opportunities that come with it will be in free markets. And that's what we're trying to get to. But the problem is we don't know who's going to set those rules. Is it the states? Is it the Fed? Is it the NCAA? The NCAA has kind of been like, and the Fed doesn't seem like this is going to be a priority anytime soon, whether it was the election that was already coming up or now COVID-19. So the states have the lead. And, Florida really is, we've been talking about Colorado and California. Florida is the leader on this. Chip LaMarca, the congressman down there, got their bill passed 2 Fridays ago at 11 p.m. That bill is the most aggressive. It starts in a year.